Turning now to a wrap of your top stories of the day. Charlotte City Council rethinking public safety on public transit, the decision they could be making tonight.
Plus, renewed concerns when it comes to safety in Uptown.
Sad to say, it's part of America. You know, things like this happen.
The changes people want to see after a pair of deadly shootings.
WCNC Charlotte is in Western North Carolina all this week as we approach the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. Hear from survivors of the storm and see the work that's being done as the area rebuilds.
Now, I'm here in Watauga County in Blowing Rock, actually, where last year Helene blew through, caused not a lot of damage, but it did wash out roads and destroyed some other areas like heavy hit Boone and other parts of Watauga County. That made folks stay away, and some were urged to stay away as this part of Watauga County tried to recover. Now, 1 year later, Blowing Rock is seeing the results of a lot of that recovery. The roads have been back open, the access to the mountain has been accessed, and folks are starting to visit. Some say they're expecting record numbers. That's good news 1 year after Helene.
And it's Victory Monday for the Carolina Panthers.
That's right. We'll tell you something they did on Sunday they have not done in 5 years. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up on WCNC Plus. All right, we'll see you there. 7 minutes over on WCNC Plus. Have a great Monday, everybody. Stream you live at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Autumn Bracey. And our Lisa Washington is in Boone for our week-long special coverage marking 1 year since Hurricane Helene. Good morning, Lisa.
Autumn, good morning to you and to the rest of the team back there in Charlotte. We are live this morning in Boone here in Western North Carolina as we mark the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. The sun is just beginning to come up here in Boone. As Chris mentioned earlier, it's quite a bit foggy out here this morning and the town is beginning to come alive. But we're going to be here to show you some of the stories of the survivors of this storm, as well as a look at the progress that's being made and the work that's still needs to be done. Right now, though, we're going to toss things over to meteorologist Chris Mulcahy as we are saying goodbye to summer and hello fall today. It feels like fall here in Boone, Chris.
Yeah, and luckily it's not 10 degrees cooler as we were last Monday and Tuesday up there. But the big deal right now, and this is what Lisa was talking about, a little bit foggy, perfect visibility right now at the airport in Watauga County, but you're down to a goose egg to 0.1 to a quarter-mile visibility from Asheville and areas in western North Carolina. And as for us, a little bit closer to Charlotte, we do have some dropping visibilities right around the Rock Hill area. So that's why we do have a little bit of that low cloud cover from place to place across our Mr. Sparky Carolina camera network. Sunrise time officially at 7:12, almost there for this September 22nd. But as we mentioned, we're saying goodbye to the summer season. Autumn officially begins at 2:19 p.m., but we're going to have to wait a while before it actually starts feeling like the season. 87 degrees, that's where we were yesterday. We're doing it again for today, picking up mixed cloud and sunshine through the afternoon. High temperatures ranging across the mid 80s for most of the afternoon. Staying dry, though, for your Monday. Muggy meter trending up. Either side of 60 really just shows that we're dealing with that sticky air, and boy do we see a big change by the end of the week. I'm talking about it feeling downright uncomfortable by the end of the week. On Thursday, we kind of have that air you can wear, the hair you can't wear. That is building in really for your Thursday and Friday before it starts to come back down, feeling a little bit more seasonal by the weekend. But our highest rain chances are standing out from all the rest. We're talking about widespread hours of rain Thursday night heading into Friday morning. So it could be a really rough start to your Friday morning. There's still a lot of question marks what's happening here. But in the near term, over the next 36 hours, I don't have a lot to tell you. We have a dry atmosphere all in all. We will see a slight chance for rain in the mountains only by tomorrow and also along the shoreline, but we should be staying dry closer to Charlotte. An isolated storm chance is possible on Wednesday as this system arrives, but it's Thursday. Check out Thursday morning. I think most of the rain arrives during your late afternoon on Thursday heading into the evening, and then we have several hours of rain heading into your Friday. Could be heavy at times, and I think easily up to 1 to 2 inches of rain is going to fall from this. And then once this front eventually settles out down to the east, we will see more sunshine heading into the weekend all in all. But check out our rainfall forecast. This is our quantitative precipitation forecast, QPF as we call it. All it is just really a nice little ensemble of models that shows how much rain we could see. 1 to 2 inches also verifying here for that system, so keep that in mind. As for our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, you can see the top. We're hovering around that summertime status over the next 3 days. Back to either side of 80 degrees on Friday, lower 80s for the first weekend. Coming up, though, we have to talk about an important anniversary for this day in weather history, and we also have to talk about the tropics that are heating up and how they could affect us heading into week 2 of the forecast. But first, Majestic has our first WCNC Plus look at traffic.
Let's get to it. 7:04 right now. If you're heading out the door this morning, traffic is starting to pick up just a bit. I-77 not looking too bad at this point, but those drive times, they're definitely starting to pick up, especially if you're coming in from Gastonia. Almost 1 hour it's going to take you to get into Charlotte. I'm going to tell you exactly why, but first, another live camera looks all coming in from South Carolina. That's York County. My map is starting to get active now that we have more people out on those area roadways. This is a concerning spot, a watch spot that I have my eyes on. It's an accident that's going to be impacting I-45, the inner loop just after Oakdale Road. That's exit 18. A crash is slowing down traffic. You can see all of the red. And then out in Gaston County, this is where it's really getting jam-packed as well. One lane is currently blocked because of a crash. It's on I-85 northbound at exit 26. That's out towards McAdamville Road. Keep this one in mind because those delays are ongoing. A crash in Uptown. It's on 4th Street and Tryon Street. Those are some main things that I'm watching for now. We'll have another check on area roadways coming up here shortly.
Majestic, thanks. 7:05 right now on WCNC Plus. And this week, marking 1 year since Hurricane Helene tore through western North Carolina, the storm took more than 100 lives across the state and caused more than $50 billion in damage. All week long, our team's covering the storm's impact, the damage it left behind, and the ongoing efforts to rebuild. Lisa joins us live from Boone. And Lisa, bring us up to speed how things are going there in Watauga County.
Good morning to you, Ben. And I think you're right. The key word here is ongoing, because there is a lot of progress that has been made. I can tell you yesterday, driving in from Charlotte, it was very clear to see, the parts of the road that have been repaved and rebuilt. You go into a place like Blowing Rock and Main Street looks great there. People are coming back. There were a number of tourists. I stopped to get dinner at Town Tavern. Things looked great there. People were happy that the tourists were back. But I can tell you, along some of the smaller roads, it's clear to see the damage from this storm, just the devastation that was Hurricane Helene 1 year ago. It's been 12 months since the remnants of that storm devastated western North Carolina and caused more than $50 billion in damage. All week long, our team is going to be here covering this storm's impact, the damage that was left behind, and the ongoing efforts, as you mentioned, to rebuild. Right now, we're going to check in with our Richard Devane. He is live talking about Blowing Rock there, a town that so heavily depends on tourism. Richard.
Yeah, good morning to you, Lisa. Good morning, good Monday morning, everyone watching us on the Plus. Basically, it's just like you said. You drove through Blowing Rock and you noticed how beautiful it is. Well, the key was you were able to drive through Blowing Rock. You were able to get to Blowing Rock. After Helene came through, it stopped a lot of people from being able to get there. The damage was all around Blowing Rock, not necessarily in it, and that caused a financial problem. But 1 year later, things are looking better. Now, as we look at video, we can tell you, we have to say that last year this time, Blowing Rock was in some trouble. Helene blew through and it caused a lot of damage. Not as much damage right here in Blowing Rock, but it caused a lot of damage to places like Boone. While the town didn't have that significant damage, the remnants of Helene did cut off much of the town's fall traffic. And that's important because it's a tourism area. Many would-be visitors stayed away. That was all to help the area recover. Some town and county leaders said, hey, please stay away from this area for now while we get things back to at least passable for you folks. Months later, there have been repairs to damaged roads and trails have been restored. Access to the mountains and visitors are returning in big numbers. While recovery has been pricey, community leaders say the experience underscores just how vital tourism is to Blowing Rock's identity and resilience, even as memories of the past still linger.
So, I would start to drive toward Boone and I just turned around and came home because it was so bad. Apartments flooded, businesses, Walmart, all of that was flooded. They were closed for months. Yeah. And I think some of those businesses just got reopened. It's been a year. And my daughter, the biggest thing I remember about that is my daughter was in Asheville, at UNC Asheville. And where they were, they couldn't, they didn't have any internet, they didn't have any power, they didn't have anything. And they did not realize how devastated Asheville was until they got out.
Yeah, just one of those many stories we can tell you. Reuben Wallace's daughter actually goes to school up in Asheville. They were there for this past weekend, and we were there earlier when the president came to that area. Things have gotten a lot better since then, and a lot better since last year. But of course, as he told me, in smaller towns and even in certain parts of Asheville, there is still work to be done. Folks here in Blowing Rock say they can't wait for the leaves to change and that flood of folks to come in next month to watch that fall foliage. Things are getting better. We're right here in Blowing Rock. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thanks so much for that. And you're right, I actually heard people talking yesterday about looking forward to fall coming and to the leaves changing. Everybody wants to see leaf peeping, and what better place to see it than here in western North Carolina. So hopefully that will contribute to the tourism and to people coming back to this area as it works to rebuild. Again, we're going to have reports all week. Ben, as you know, there are great stories of the survivors, of the community effort that all came together as people worked to rebuild their lives here, but then there are those challenges. There are things that have not changed, that have not been improved since the storm came here 1 year ago. So of course we're going to be taking a look at all of that this week as we continue our coverage here in Western North Carolina. We'll send things back to you guys in Charlotte.
Important more than ever to keep a focus on the communities up there and the aid they still need. Lisa, check back in with you in a bit. Coming up, remembering Charlie Kirk, the incredible turnout for his final farewell. It's 7:12 right now on WCNC Plus. This morning, the assassination of Charlie Kirk still under investigation as tens of thousands gathered in his home state of Arizona to say a goodbye. NBC's Jay Gray was at the memorial service in Glendale with a closer look.
Part church service, then part political rally. 95,000 or more gather in Glendale, Arizona Sunday, pulled there by Charlie Kirk's message and to share one of their own.
I believe everybody should have the right to free speech and not get shot for it here in the United States in 2025.
The 31-year-old activist and influencer, remembered by friends, fans, and colleagues as a Christian and conservative martyr.
Charlie was not silenced. His movement is only beginning.
A message echoed as a half dozen members of President Trump's cabinet and Vice President J.D. Vance, one by one, stepped to the stage, followed by Kirk's widow, Erica.
But I will miss him. I will miss him so much.
Wrought with emotion, she shares the pain of her loss, leaning on her faith, she says, to forgive the man accused of killing her husband and promising to grow their message and mission.
Every part of our work will become greater. I am tremendously honored to be the new CEO of Turning Point USA.
President Trump closing the more than 5-hour memorial.
I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
His eulogy, at times spinning into a discussion of his administration's initiatives and swipes at political opponents,
the radical left lunatics,
including former President Joe Biden, before calling Kirk's widow back to the stage to a standing ovation as a banner of her late husband is unfurled from the stadium's rafters. Jay Gray, NBC News, Glendale, Arizona.
Well, happening today, faculty and staff will be returning to Evergreen High School as they recover from the shooting that took place September 10th. A 16-year-old student shot and injured 2 others before killing himself. In a video message, Evergreen's principal commented on some changes to the school, as well as the addition of a new full-time school resource officer and many other security measures.
As we move forward together, one thing I am certain of is that this school and this community hold the most incredible, the most courageous people I have ever known. This community is strong, and it will continue to be so as we take these first few steps together.
The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is continuing their investigation. They will work to prepare the school for students to gradually return starting Thursday.
We have learned UNC Wilmington's campus is reopening today with enhanced security measures. This comes after a false report of somebody with a gun on campus Thursday night led to a lockdown. Classes were canceled Friday. We've also learned UNC Chapel Hill is also boosting campus security.
Well, coming up, the Panthers back on the prowl, a breakdown of Sunday's dominating home opener.
Welcome back, everyone. So today is a very important day in weather history, especially here in the Carolinas. September 22nd, right around midnight, is where we had the landfall of Hurricane Hugo back in 1989. It reached a peak wind of 160 miles per hour, Category 5, but it made landfall here in the Carolinas as a Category 4 storm. And this thing was epic. It was actually one of the highest storm surges that we've had in the East Coast history. Now, some of the highest storm surges came from Camille, that was closer to Mississippi back in the late 60s in the Gulf of Mexico. But as far as the eastern seaboard goes, no other storm has matched Hugo's peak storm surge. And the biggest thing about Hugo was how fast it was moving. So when it made landfall at midnight, it had those winds that were up to about 130 to 140 miles per hour. But since it was moving so fast, it didn't really have time to weaken. So once it got to Charlotte, 5 hours later, around 5 o'clock, there were still wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour, where we're not as equipped for winds like that persistently across the area. Most people who are alive at this point know that Hugo was one that really left a scar here in the Charlotte area and also the Carolinas as well. It's just absolutely amazing. Peak wind gusts even up to 81 miles per hour in Hickory. Larry has the account of this. We'll likely show that here later on WCNC Plus. Said at one point he remembers very vividly is up to about 40 to 45 miles per hour forward speed, which is just lightning fast for a hurricane. Coming up, though, I have to talk about our next big momentum in the tropics. We have 2 big waves here. They're likely going to form over the next 3 to 7 days. The one in the yellow could affect us here in the southeast. More on that coming up in the next half hour of WCNC Plus. But first, Majestic, what's going on?
Good morning, everyone. Well, drive times are starting to really pick up as we are now in that 7 o'clock hour. If you are coming in from Salisbury, it's going to take you almost 1 hour, over 45 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia. You can see my map right here. There's a lot going on, so I'm going to break down a few things that I'm carefully watching. A new update is we have a new crash right here south of Uptown. It's on Runnymede Lane at Sharon Road. You can see right there those colors indicating that traffic is moving rather slowly. And then just off of Park Road right here, we have an additional crash on Schofield Road at Topping Place. So those are the 2 newest ones that I'm continuing to watch. However, this is going to be the most significant crash this morning that may impact your morning commute, slowing you down. We're still following this active crash. It's on I-485, the inner loop just after Oakdale Road. That's exit 18 specifically. And as you can see, that crash is slowing down traffic. All of that red indicating stop and go traffic currently. And then one lane currently blocked because of a crash on I-85 northbound before exit 26. That's McAdamsville Road. You can see those delays are in place. We'll have another traffic check coming up here shortly.
All right, thank you, Majestic. Well, what a game day it was. Woo. This morning, the Carolina Panthers celebrating their first win of the year. Yesterday, the team beat their rival Atlanta Falcons in a shutout, 30-0.
How about that? Sports director Nick Carboni breaks down the game with Locked On's Julian Council.
Julian, win number 1 for Carolina, but that win felt like a big one, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And here's the thing. It's not a must win if you still have 14 more games left after this result, but it was a need to win for Carolina. And this is a position the Panthers have been in over the last couple of years. The 4th straight season where they've started off 0-2. But you go back to 2019, there have been several instances where they have been 0-2, but then had a big bounce back win in week 3. 2019, Kyle Allen throws 4 touchdowns. Go back to last year, Andy Dalton rips apart the Raiders in the desert. Then today, 30-0, first shutout since 2020. Anyone see that one coming? So it was so important not just to win a game, but to win in this fashion and then to possibly carry over this momentum moving forward for a team who I thought was a lot better than they showed, at least in the first 6 quarters of the season against Jacksonville and against Arizona.
You talk about that shutout. We have to start with the defense.
Yes.
J.C. Horn telling us in the locker room he thought defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero called a perfect game. What did you make of the defensive performance, and can they carry it into next week?
Yeah, and JC also told me in the locker room it was the most dominating performance he's been a part of here in Carolina. Now, most dominating defensively, because the game that happened a couple of years ago against Detroit offensively was a thorough domination as well. But I love what I saw from them. They were aggressive in their blitzing and getting some pressure. The takeaways, that's obviously massive. Shaw Smith-Wade with the pick 6, which really I felt like ended the game in the 3rd quarter. It was still a 10-0 game. The result was still in doubt. For him to pick off Michael Penix Jr. in that end zone, take it back for 20-plus yards was massive. The interception by Mike Jackson. And even when Atlanta, all they're trying to do is avoid the shutout and avoid that embarrassment, calling a timeout, you will see Lathan Ransom, someone who a lot of fans have called on to play more at safety. He knocks it out. So to see them get the ball on the ground, to communicate, to be effective the way that they were, was really encouraging, especially coming off of the second half of last week for this defensive performance to look in the way it did today.
Does this win give you more confidence that the coaching staff can have the team better prepared to make that kind of run and win some of those games coming up?
Well, as long as it's not week 1 or 2, sure. But I don't know. I do like the fight that I've seen from this team going back to the second half last week, and that has actually been kind of a hallmark of the Dave Canales era. When you look, and it's not been very long. It's only been, 20 games? 20 games. So when you look at end of last season, they really started playing really well. You look at the game against Kansas City, Philadelphia, even in the losses, you saw the fight from this team. And when they had a stinker against Dallas, they bounced back the next week and knocked Arizona out of the playoffs. So you want to see some consistency, but some fight. another thing that's been a hallmark of the Dave Canales era is getting off to horrible starts to start off the season. But if they can bounce back like they did today and then find that consistency that we saw at the end of last season, then yeah, I can have some confidence in this coaching staff and their preparation of what they can do and get this team to play overall clean football. No, the one muff punt aside, I thought clean offensive performance, taking care of the football and cleaning those things up. So it takes some time. Maybe they should have played in the preseason more. We can talk about it until we're blue in the face, but I do have a little more confidence in their preparation just based off of what I saw here today.
How do the Panthers respond to a victory? How does Julian Council respond to a victory every day on Locked On Panthers? We're going to find out.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, again, another big kudos to the Panthers. What a great game. Well, we're going to take a quick break, but we encourage you to stay with us on WCNC Plus at 7:26. We're going to have another update on your weather and traffic. Stay with us.
Well, good morning, everybody. 87 degrees actually feels more like late August compared to where it should be for the first day of fall. Officially calling it fall at 2:19 p.m. And how we feel is actually going to feel stickier and more humid as we work our way through the week. So sticky today, still borderline sticky to uncomfortable by tomorrow, but boy, are we feeling the difference once you get to Thursday. And Thursday is also going to be our best chance for rain as well. Thursday night heading into Friday, that widespread hours of rain is going to be a possibility. So maybe not the best start to your Friday morning commute, at least at this point in the forecast. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast has an upward climb to around 91 degrees on Wednesday. So both tomorrow and Wednesday have a shot at either side of 90, back to lower 80s heading into the first weekend of fall. Majestic, what's going on to kick off a morning commute?
Good morning, everyone. Well, it's a busy start to our Monday morning. Started out quiet, but we're starting to see some crashes now. The first one here is on Runnymede Lane at Sharon Road. That's just south of Uptown. Another one here on Schofield Road at Topping Place. Two minor accidents, but we also have the stalled vehicle that now has a lane that's blocked because of it. It's out towards Plaza Midwood at Sugar Creek Road. Following lots of things for you this morning over on WCNC Plus, including this crews that are out there working on a water main.
Well, good morning and thanks for joining us this first day of fall. I'm Autumn Bracey. You're watching WCNC Plus at 7:30.
And I'm Ben Thompson. All week long, we are having special coverage of Hurricane Helene 1 year later. And this morning, Lisa Washington is live in Boone with the latest how folks there and communities in the mountains have really overcome a lot in the last year.
That's right, Ben. They certainly have overcome a lot. Good morning to you and to Autumn and the rest of the team back there, 7:30 now. And I can tell you that Boone is actually coming alive now. The city is waking up this morning. I've seen some students at App State making their way out. But as you mentioned, we are here all this week with our special coverage marking the 1 year anniversary of Hurricane Helene, that storm that devastated western North Carolina. So we're going to be bringing you a number of the stories here. In fact, just last week, we told you the federal, state, and local leaders retraced the storm's path. They were highlighting the progress that has been made, because there is indeed progress, a lot of progress that has been made since the storm hit the area. But we cannot ignore those challenges that remain as many people are working to just rebuild their lives and their livelihood here in western North Carolina. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency toured those landmarks here, including the Lake Lure Dam. They also toured Morris Park. Now, while the progress is visible, they say they are still working to bring folks back to normalcy.
We had old infrastructure pre-storm, of course, but the damages that were incurred due to the storm have exacerbated all needs for our infrastructure.
We're all working together. We like to call it cooperative federalism to try to help solve problems. And it's clear that there's still a lot of problems here. So we want to do our part to help.
And the EPA added that there are a lot of major projects that are happening right now, and it could take a very long time before those projects are completed. Now, lawmakers say that the state still needs billions of dollars to help western North Carolina recover from Hurricane Helene. There is now a bipartisan group that's calling on Congress to approve another $13.5 billion in funding for that recovery. The state records right now show that the federal government initially approved or sent just $4.7 billion of the $18.9 billion that was requested. Nearly $19 billion requested for recovery here. And that's nowhere near what is needed to help the folks here in western North Carolina. Hurricane Helene caused what is estimated to be $60 billion in damages. Think about that number, $60 billion in damages here just in western North Carolina. North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein has now formally requested an additional $13.5 billion. And that's money that will go toward helping homeowners as well as small businesses here in the area to do things like fix the bridges and roads, and also importantly to reimburse the local governments. The governor is blaming federal oversight for the delays in funding.
All of this is slowing down the reimbursements, which means these local governments do not have cash flow. This is for projects they've already done that were approved, and they're just waiting on the reimbursement, and it's taking way too long.
Again, you hear the governor there say it is taking way too long. A reminder again that we are going to be live here in western North Carolina all this week. And over the coming days, you're going to see and hear the stories of survivors of Hurricane Helene. We're going to show you the progress that's been made and also what still needs to be done. Now, you can watch that all week over on WCNC as well as on our streaming platform, WCNC Plus. Right now, though, we need to check in with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. He has an update on our forecast as we bid adieu to summer 2025 and get ready to welcome in fall. And I can tell you, Chris, being out here in western North Carolina, some of the leaves are already starting to change colors. I mean, the fall foliage, it's actually really, really nice for sure.
Yeah, fall definitely starts up in the high country first. Meanwhile, for us, we're going to walk around saying, ooh, this is not very fall-like whatsoever. But I made this wonderful sign for you. Hopefully you enjoy it. And it's too early for apple picking, but we will be getting there soon. Really, you can actually buy your tickets for apple picking, such as up in Kerrigan Farms already. We already did yesterday. So if that's something you're looking forward to, really, I think it's a couple weeks from now that it starts to hit its peak. But look where we're going. We're at 65 degrees right now. We'll see the lower 70s by by about 10 o'clock. And then once you get into the afternoon, things are going to be feeling a little bit better. And fog has been interesting. It's been all over the place. We haven't seen any dangerous low visibilities like we've seen further off towards the west, but we are looking at some expanding fog right here around York over to Lancaster and Union County. Just letting you know that it is out and about. 87 degrees for today means we're mainly in the lower to the mid 80s throughout the afternoon. Very similar highs to yesterday. And we're hitting our top Tuesday, Wednesday, either side of 90 degrees at this point. This does look like the last time that we're going to challenge 90 degrees, because after that we have the lower 80s, and then it gets more and more of a rarity to develop more of these things. But I got to talk about these rain chances. I'm going to break these down in a little bit more detail coming up here shortly. But first, let's hit the roads. Majestic, what's going on?
Good morning. Well, we have our typical backups really starting to build. You can see I-77, I-85, lots of reds and oranges indicating that traffic is moving rather slowly, but it's not just our typical delays. We also have a handful of ongoing crashes. Let's walk you through a few of them this morning. This one here is at Runnymede Lane at Sharon Road. Seeing some yellows popping up right around there, meaning that there are going to be some minimal impacts for your morning commute. Otherwise, another crash not too far away from that one. It's on Schofield Road at Topping Place. It's right off of Park Road, so keep that in mind. And then to the east, if you live in Plaza Midwood, good morning to you. You need to know one lane is blocked because of a stalled vehicle. This is on the plaza at Sugar Creek Road. You can see that red that is starting to build right there because of a stalled vehicle, again, on the plaza. To the south, we now have an additional crash. This is our newest crash this morning. It's going to be on Johnston Road near Ballantyne Crossing Ave. Seems like it's going to be those northbound lanes that will be impacted. We'll have another update coming up here shortly. Guys.
All right, thank you so much, Majestic. Well, coming up, safety on Charlotte's transit system. The new measures being discussed. Well, safety on Charlotte's transit system is back in the spotlight. City Council is weighing whether to give a private police agency expanded powers, a move that comes just after a few weeks leaders promised some new security measures for riders. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live with more on tonight's meeting. Destiny.
Yeah, if Charlotte City Council approves this, then a private police agency would have more power to make arrests, issue citations, and basically enforce the law on not just transit property, but also surrounding areas. Now, it's the Professional Police Services. That's the company already providing security for cats. They could soon have the power to enforce laws beyond the light rail, buses, and stations. The expanded jurisdiction would cover areas around the city's transit centers, East Trade Street, and the rail trail. This comes 1 month after the deadly stabbing of Irina Zarutska on the Blue Line, and just weeks after the mayor and CATS leaders rolled out a series of safety upgrades. Among them, more security on train platforms, stepped up fare enforcement, and additional police patrols at key hubs.
You may not see them, but they are watching over you as a rider, and all riders have the ability to, request help through our app, through 911, and that help is ready and available to respond quickly to provide assistance.
City leaders are expected to discuss and vote on this expanded authority at their meeting tonight at 5:30. And again, this is just an extra added layer of protection, not just on transit, but again in the public spaces, on the sidewalks, because crimes can happen there as well. I'll send it back to you guys live here from South End.
All right, thank you very much, Destiny.
All right, 7:41 live right now on WCNC Plus, and we continue to follow breaking news from overnight in Uptown. Medic says one person is fighting for their life after a shooting on West Trade Street. It happened just after midnight. Right now, details are limited, but we know the victim was taken to Novant Presbyterian with life-threatening injuries. It comes just 24 hours after a separate deadly shooting there in Uptown. Officials say off-duty officers heard gunshots around 1 a.m. Sunday outside the Brooklyn nightclub and lounge. That's right off North Caldwell. When they arrived, they found a man shot dead in the street. Detectives say the shooting started with a fight between two groups, but so far, nobody's been arrested. Some neighbors say the violence at this point no longer surprises them, but it still scares them.
Sad to say, it's part of America. Things like this happen. And
nothing really shocks at this point in time. Everything is basically what the world is giving us.
Police ask if you have any information to contact them.
In Gastonia, Habitat for Humanity and community partners are seeking solutions. Over the weekend, they took their Rock the Block initiative to the Highland neighborhood. Volunteers and homeowners teamed up to tackle exterior repairs, landscaping, and cleanup projects. Now, it's all in effort to boost community pride.
They're so grateful and excited that we're going to be coming in and doing some of these repairs. So we've got 6 families that we'll be serving this year with our critical home repair program. And these are major repairs that need to be done with some of these homes, like HVAC and roofing, flooring and things like that, that are truly crucial needs that are keeping these people in their homes.
Now, this year's effort comes as Gastonia gets ready for the 2025 Gaston Gala and future Habitat's repair projects.
Coming up, a NASCAR legend's incredible effort to help Helene victims recover.
Good morning, good morning. Okay, so this is where we left out. I put a weather bookmark right in here. The rain chances today, tomorrow, don't worry about it. Isolated guy on Wednesday, but it's Thursday night and Friday. These days stand out from all the rest because it's been a while since I have been calling for a widespread rain chance. So that means hours of rain, not just scattered showers and thunderstorms. And here's the setup. We have a lot of moisture that's blasting in out of the south over the next few days. It gets more and more humid each and every day. That's storm fuel. Once this front arrives, that's going to collide with us on Thursday to Thursday evening. That's where we're ramping up, I think, hours of rain. At least 1 to 2 inches of rain, I think, could fall during this time frame, about 24 to 30 hours. So we'll see if we're going to get any excessive rainfall tags by tomorrow or the day after on Wednesday, preparing for this event. And then a high pressure system eventually settles in behind it, clearing us out just in time for the first weekend of fall. So just letting you know, widespread rain, definitely going to need the umbrellas. About 1 to 2 inches plus of rain will fall during this time frame. So once you get to about Friday afternoon, I still think that we have some lingering showers and storms, but things start to clear up. Then we move on to issue number 2. Check this out. So this is by next Saturday for our extended outlook. This potentially is going to be our next named storm at least, but potentially our next hurricane. But it's this area of low pressure that potentially could form into something by about the middle of the following week. And we are seeing that as one of the areas of concern being tracked by the National Hurricane Center. So that area of orange potentially is going to be our next named storm. That would be Umberto. But we could have Imelda form right after that. But notice where it's curving. This is one that we have to watch here in the Carolinas. Nothing to really threaten us, at least in the near term. But hey, we are watching it. Also, we are watching traffic. Let's get an update with Majestic.
Good morning, everyone. Well, let's get to it. We are still looking at those slowdowns. Here's a little quick peek at some of those drive times. It's going to take you about an hour to get into Charlotte if you're driving in from Gastonia, and just about a half an hour if you're coming in from Matthews. You can see my map here. We have red coming in inbound on I-77, much of the same on I-85. So yes, our typical delays, but we also have a handful of ongoing wrecks. South of Charlotte, let's get to it. South of Uptown, a crash right here on Runnymede Lane at Sharon Road, bringing some minor impacts, but not too far from it. We have another additional crash. It's just off of Park Road right here. It's on Schofield Road at Topping Place. And then we're watching this stalled vehicle out there at Plaza Midwood. It's on the plaza at Sugar Creek Road. This red right here is never good. It's indicating just really that stop and go traffic for that morning commute. And then want to take you even more south, Ballantyne Crossing Ave and Johnston Road. There is a current crash that's going to delay your commute, especially if you're heading northbound. Now, I don't see any lanes that are blocked with this, but just be mindful that things may be just a bit slow moving. And then crews are still working on this. It's a water main work. It's going to be blocking the right turning lane on Sharon Amity Road South at Central Ave through October 3rd.
Majestic, thanks. Time now is 7:48, and this morning many Helene victims are recovering better thanks to a NASCAR legend. Greg Biffle was one of the first civilian pilots to fly into the aftermath, helping to save lives. Now, 1 year later, he is sitting down with WCNC Charlotte's Megan Malaris to share how he became an angel in the sky.
The storm was fast and furious. In late September 2024, Hurricane Helene closed in on the last left turn. Get down! Barreling for the finish line. Western North Carolina. A couple hours away in quiet Mooresville, a race against time began with a text.
September 28th, right there it is. Got this from a friend. You want to go flying today?
It was the first caution of what was to come for NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, a master of brakes who also happens to have blades.
When I got hired by Jack Roush, he was a huge aviation nut, which sparked my interest and finally started taking flight lessons.
For years, Biffle flew to racetracks to avoid traffic. Then, after semi-retirement, he sold his bird.
And it was just bugging me and burning me up.
All while fate was still watching from the grandstands.
I bought it about 6 months or so prior to Hurricane Helene.
Someone of faith might say it was meant to be, like God gave you that helicopter at the right time.
It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it, how it all What if this wouldn't have happened and that and that and that? Just how everything came together.
All because of that initial text request for a pilot to help one family trapped in Banner Elk.
They were out of formula, diapers, and the road was washed out. Then my wife came up and said, "Are you gonna go?" is all she said. And I just felt like if I don't go, who's going to?
So you did go. What did you see when you got there?
The weather was really bad.
And a Facebook post he had made before takeoff was brewing a storm of its own.
I got 4,000, 5,000 messages within an hour and a half. I haven't heard from my parents. I haven't heard from my brother, sister, or neighbor, or grandparents, or relative.
From draft to drift, Biffle faced familiar danger, threading through treacherous terrain as tight as bumpers at Daytona.
There's no recollection of a road, an embankment, no ledge, no bridge, no anything for miles down these canyons. And we see people walking with backpacks, trying to get out.
Index cards with rough coordinates acting as pace notes. One mission turned into 6 to 8 a day for 13 days, pulling out people while dropping off food, medicine, and Starlink satellites.
So the Starlink came up, their phones came on, and they literally started talking to their parents. And it's kind of chilling to think about that no one knew whether they were still alive or not.
The satellites also helped Biffle scour his social media for more tips.
And all of a sudden, I find myself at almost the center of this crisis management.
He needed more eyes in the sky. Nonprofit Operation Airdrop got hundreds of volunteer pilots to search tricky terrain where military Blackhawks and Chinooks couldn't land. Tabor Hyde is an American Airlines commercial pilot who grew up near Chimney Rock.
It really hit close to home and personal. I had one family, their house was in a landslide falling off the mountain, and the dad was waving a red flag on the roof. I loaded the kids up first and flew them down the mountain about a mile away and left them in a field. I was like, do not move, stay right here. I'm gonna come back and get your parents. Once we got them off of there, 5 minutes later, their house was gone.
So many close calls, so much desperation.
I was in probably some of the most difficult terrain that we had been in. We had someone that needed insulin. I catch out of the corner of my eye, on the very bottom of this basin, I think I see a flash. So we circled around, back around, and sure enough, we see this guy at the very bottom of this ravine with a mirror that was flashing us. If he wouldn't have had that mirror, there's no way we would have saw him.
On the track, a delay in the pit can cost you the race, right? But in the air, a delay getting up can cost a life.
The hardest thing was when I went home at night and landed in the dark, because we just couldn't fly anymore, was my mind wouldn't shut off. I'm sitting there at my counter looking through my phone, just overwhelmed. Like, what am I gonna do next?
Eventually, his helicopter missions turned to ground support. Still, a year later, he feels he hasn't crossed the wire of this storm.
I wish I was flying now, but I spent a tremendous amount of time sitting in this seat.
He went back to the mountains at Easter.
The most fulfilling thing that I could do was drop 4,000 Easter eggs.
And since Helene, he keeps essentials close, just in case.
Benadryl was a huge request.
How do you think your experience in NASCAR and racing in general really aided in your ability to do this and do it well?
There's no, we're going to be late, or we're not going to get done in time. There are no obstacles in front of us that we can't accomplish.
No checkered flag, no victory lap in Helene. Simply hope at the stripe. Because heroes who don't wear capes figured out how to fly. Megan Malaris, WCNC, Charlotte.
Thank goodness for his efforts. We're going to take a quick break here, but make sure that you keep it with us right here on WCNC Plus. More news, weather, and traffic at the top of the hour.
Well, good morning, everybody. Yesterday we hit 87 degrees, and hey, let's do it again, right? Officially, we're calling it fall or autumn at 2:19 p.m. for the autumnal equinox, and it doesn't feel like it. Not whatsoever, not for the evening, not for our lows. We are still very much almost August-like over the next few days. And evening out forecast, a slight heat index, and then down into the lower 70s we go to conclude that. And then overnight tonight, this looks like it is going to be the coolest morning in the near term. It's not even all that cool. And then we're either side of 70 degrees for our lows. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast has the top Tuesday, Wednesday, right around 90 degrees both days. After that, increased rain chances Thursday and Friday, cooling us down heading into the first weekend of fall. Majestic, what's going on?
Good morning, everyone. Let's get to it. It's a beautiful start to our Monday. It's going to be a nice first day of fall. Lots of sunshine out there. This is I-77 at 277. You can still see traffic is moving rather slowly on I-77. No crashes, just more people waking up and heading out the door. Drive times right now look like this, about 1 hour if you're coming in from Salisbury, and we do have our typical delays. Inbound I-77, inbound I-85, but we're watching the stalled vehicle. It's out in Plaza Midwood. It's on the plaza at Sugar Creek Road. Keep that one in mind. And a crash on Sharon Amity Road in Independence. That's going to slow you down if you're heading inbound. More on this coming up on WCNC Plus.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Autumn Bracey. We have our Lisa Washington. She's been in Boone for us all morning long as we update you all on our week-long special coverage as we mark 1 year since Hurricane Helene. Good morning, Lisa.
Autumn, good morning to you and to Ben and to the rest of the team back there in Charlotte. As you said, yes, we are here in Western North Carolina. Our team is going to be here all week as we bring you the stories of survivors and we show you the progress and the challenges that still remain 1 year after Hurricane Helene came through this area. It's been 12 months since the remnants of that storm tore through the high country, leaving damage across Watauga County and forcing leaders to issue a rare request, something that's not done. They were asking visitors to stay away. Now, this is an area that is known for tourism, that depends on it. A tough blow for a blowing rock. Again, they depend so much on tourism, especially during the fall. This is their prime time for tourism. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us now with a look at how the community is doing 1 year later. Richard.
Yeah, Lisa, good morning to you. Good Monday morning, everyone. Good morning, Autumn. Good morning, Ben. Good morning to you folks on the Plus. Basically, it's just like Lisa said. This area in Watauga County, Blowing Rock in particular, rely on tourism money. That's why when Helene came, It didn't damage the town of Blowing Rock as much as other areas, but it did damage them financially because folks were either not able to get here or told to stay away. Now, as we look at video, it was just 1 year ago, 12 months ago, when all of this happened. Helene came through, that storm blowing through the town of Blowing Rock. It washed out roads. It also caused some businesses to shut down temporarily. While it wasn't as bad as far as damage as other areas, like Boone, the remnants of Helene did cut off much of the town's fall traffic. That's because many visitors, who would be visitors, stayed away to help town leaders who asked them to please stay away while they tried to recover from the damage. Months later, there have been repairs to damaged roads and trails have been restored. Access to the mountains has also been accessible, and visitors are returning. We're told some in big numbers. While recovery was costly, county leaders say the experience underscored just how vital tourism is to Blowing Rock's identity as well as its resilience. Even as members,
like I would start to drive toward Boone, and I just turned around and came home because it was so bad. Apartments flooded, businesses, Walmart, all of that was flooded. They were closed for months.
Yeah.
And I think some of those businesses just got reopened. It's been a year. And my daughter, the biggest thing I remember about that is my daughter was in Asheville, at UNC Asheville. And where they were, they couldn't, they didn't have any internet, they didn't have any power, they didn't have anything. And they did not realize how devastated Asheville was until they got out.
Yeah, and a lot of folks are saying now that even in Asheville and other areas, they are seeing signs of the recovery. Some areas are pretty much getting back to normal. Other areas still, some of those smaller communities are still struggling. But overall, this Western North Carolina area is bouncing back. And here in Blowing Rock, they're welcoming everyone to come up to watch the beautiful fall foliage in just a little bit. We're right here in Blowing Rock. Rich Devane, we'll send it back to you.
And Richard, you're right. We're actually beginning to see some of that beautiful fall foliage. As you know, driving up from Charlotte yesterday, it was very easy to see it there. I can see it now here in Boone. The tops of the trees are beginning to change color here. Another sign coming back to life. A number of the students are here back at App State. And Richard, of course, mentioned the tourism because it really is the driving force, a big part of the economy here, especially during the fall. So it was great to see a number of tourists yesterday walking along the street in both Blowing Rock and in Boone. I saw many of them as I was coming into the area from Charlotte yesterday. Right now, though, we need to find out more about our forecast. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy back at our WCNC Charlotte studios with an update for us. We are saying goodbye to summer and it's fall, y'all.
Fall, y'all, let's do it. Now, it doesn't feel like it, a little bit more so where Lisa is, but I want to show you this real quick. So Lisa right now, as far as elevation, is right about here, about 3,333. Now, if you have ever been on top of Grandfather's Mountain, you know that the leaves change there first. That physically, the peak is usually around October 7th there. And Sugar Mountain, it's a little bit closer to about the 12th that we have that peak. But for the Boone area, it's really around October 21st. But realistically, anywhere from the 10th to the 20th, you could have a real quick change anywhere along the Blue Ridge Parkway, around Linville Gorge, things like that. And then once you get down to about Lenore, you don't see that change until really early November, and that's the same thing for the Charlotte area. So since Lisa was talking about the leaves before I got to the forecast, I just kind of wanted to show you what the plan is for Mother Nature. That's usually where we start to see some of those changes. But as I mentioned, not going to feel like fall right away. It's actually going to take a little bit, and it hasn't felt like it because the last days of summer, 91, 92, 87, and since today's kind of a split ski, we have 87 degrees feeling summer-like for the finale of summer. But is this our last 90-degree day? Are we done? We hit 92 degrees on September 20th, which pretty much puts us in line for when we ended our 90 string of really 3 of the last 4 years. But there's another shot. not just tomorrow, but Wednesday looks to be the best shot to get to 90 degrees one more time. Outside of that, the long-range plan does not look like we're going to get back to that range. So literally, the hottest days for the rest of the year look to be on tap. And notice the green line here. I kind of want to do an overlay to kind of show you the correlation. As the rain chances go up, the temperatures come down, because that widespread cloud cover and rain is definitely going to kick our highs even into the 70s for some on Friday. That's going to be the big wet weather story, because we're looking at a lot of rain. It's all associated with this approaching cold front. That cold front is going to move in later in the day on Thursday. There's still some timing issues. Is this going to be more of a Thursday evening to Thursday night, or is it more Thursday night to Friday morning? Right now I'm banking on it's a Thursday night to Friday morning that we see the heaviest rain. So that means it could be a rough start to your Friday morning commute. And then the backside of this, we're still dealing with some showers and storms before we'll start to dry out and be less humid heading into the weekend. We have a brand new update from the National Hurricane Center about these two tropical waves. This one right here likely going to become Umberto, but Imelda. Notice the cone? It's getting close to the southeastern United States. I'm going to go into full detail on this about this day in weather history as well for September 22nd. But first, let's get right over to Majestic, see what's going on for your morning commute.
Looking all right across those area roadways. You can see dry conditions, sunny skies. We do have those delays that are starting to build. 65 degrees as you're heading out the door, so grab those sunglasses. It's off to a very mild start to the day. You can see our drive times this morning, though. They are definitely starting to add up. About an hour coming in from Gastonia, around the same if you're coming in from Salisbury. You can see my map right here, a whole lot of colors starting to build. That just means stop and go traffic in our typical spots that we would suspect. But out towards Plaza Midwood, good morning to everyone. If you're waking up in Plaza Midwood, we do have a stalled vehicle. We're making some progress. I think they're clearing it at this point, but it's on the plaza at Sugar Creek Road, so that's a very well-traveled place. Keep that in mind if you're heading out the door anytime soon. Unfortunately, we also have a crash here on Independence and Sharon Amity Road. Those inbound lanes, you can see all of that red starting to build. Already a very well-traveled location, so not very helpful when we do have an ongoing wreck. And then just to the west of that one, a crash that is still active. It's on Schofield Road at Topping Place. This is just off of Park Road. This is Park Road right here, and then there's the accident not too far from it. And then to the south, this one is still ongoing as well. It's on Ballantyne Crossing Ave at Johnston Ave. That's going to slow you down if you're heading more northbound. And then don't forget about this. All of this orange is indicating that cars are moving rather slowly, and it's because the right turning lane is blocked because crews are out there working on a water main. It's on Sharon Amity Road South at Central Ave. Otherwise, this is uptown right here. Look at all of that red up and down I-77. No crashes right here, just a lot of people heading out for their Monday morning commute. Guys.
Thanks. 8:09 right now on WCNC Plus. Coming up, remembering Charlie Kirk, the incredible turnout for his weekend memorial.
Well, we continue our coverage this morning following the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. As thousands gathered for Kirk's memorial last night, the nation now faces some tough questions on free speech. NBC's Alive Barr has more from Capitol Hill as lawmakers are weighing in.
This morning, pressing questions from both sides of the aisle about free speech in America, as tens of thousands said goodbye to the murdered conservative activist Charlie Kirk at a public memorial in Arizona.
I will miss him so much because our marriage and our family were beautiful.
Many, including President Trump, honoring Kirk's commitment to promoting free speech.
It's the right and inheritance of every free American, the greatest legacy of the Enlightenment, and among the most treasured achievements of civilization. We will defend it at all costs.
Now, in the wake of Kirk's assassination, there are new concerns about censorship, thrust to the forefront after ABC indefinitely pulled its late-night host Jimmy Kimmel off air after his comments about Republicans' response to Kirk's murder that led to criticism from the FCC chairman and suggestions of potential action involving the network's license. President Trump has since made similar comments. Lawmakers in both parties weighing in.
The FCC was wrong to weigh in, and I'll fight any attempt by the government to get involved with speech.
Censorship and what we're seeing from the federal government only serves to further divide us and make us less safe.
It comes amid new Defense Department restrictions that journalists can no longer gather or report information, even unclassified, without authorization from the government or risk losing their press credentials. The National Press Club calling it a direct assault on independent journalism, while Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth argued the press does not run the Pentagon, the people do. Today, President Trump heading to New York for the United Nations General Assembly with a focus on the wars in Gaza and Ukraine. He teased an announcement related to autism first. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Happening today, faculty and staff will be returning to Evergreen High School as they recover from the shooting that took place September 10th. A 16-year-old student shot and injured two others before killing himself. Those two students remain in the hospital. In a video message, Evergreen's principal commented on some changes to the school, as well as the addition of a new full-time school resource officer and many other security measures.
As we move forward together, one thing I am certain of is that this school and this community hold the most incredible, the most courageous people I have ever known. This community is strong, and it will continue to be so as we take these first few steps together.
And the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office is continuing their investigation. They're going to work to prepare the school for students to gradually return starting Thursday.
8:15 right now on WCNC Plus, and we've learned UNC Wilmington's campus is reopening today with enhanced security measures. It comes after a false report of somebody with a gun on campus Thursday night that led to a lockdown. Classes were canceled Friday. We've also learned UNC Chapel Hill also boosting campus security. Up next, remembering Hurricane Hugo 36 years ago today.
You are streaming live on WCNC Plus. Time now is 8:17. Today marks 36 years since Hurricane Hugo slammed into the Carolinas. On September 22nd, 1989, that storm made landfall near Charleston, South Carolina, and it moved into the Charlotte area as a Category 1 hurricane with 90-mile-per-hour winds. Our own Larry Sprinkle was live on the air when the ceiling in the studio actually caved in. Take a look back at that moment.
Gust up to about 100 miles an hour, Shaw Air Force Base. I've been distracted because as a lot of people are experiencing, part of our ceiling just collapsed in here. This is a very serious system that is going through Charlotte.
It was a serious system indeed. Again, although it was Category 1 at the time, that doesn't mean that there was not a lack of damage when Hurricane Hugo moved through the area some 36 years ago. I remember being a little girl growing up in Bennettsville, and I remember about the storm. There was just so much rain. I remember my grandmother's front yard had it just seemed inches of rain. We were out of school for 2 or 3 days. A number of people were without power for quite some time. Chris, I know Larry is there with you and certainly remembers the damage and the aftermath from Hugo.
Yeah, Larry, I think this is probably the biggest storm of your career just in that video alone. So bring us through it. What was it like, man?
I mean, back in those days, there were only 2 of us in the weather department.
Yeah,
so
wow.
It was all hands on deck, and in the building at the time, in the old building, there were only about 8 people. I was on the air in the studio by myself. Steve Riley had taken a break, so the camera was locked down on me. I was facing the camera here. Over in the just left of me, I kept hearing kind of a creaking sound. You see, as I was talking on the air, then right in the middle of what I was saying, the ceiling, about a 500-pound section of ceiling caved in the studio, just about 10 feet away from me.
Wow.
So I thought, this is the end right here.
Right.
And what you don't see is we don't have that part of the tape, is when I go, yeah, serious system, and then I go back to you, Rick. Rick goes, Larry, we'll get back to Larry. I was on my hands and knees crawling out. This took me like 5 seconds to get out there. But yeah, this big section of the ceiling caved in. Just part of what happened. It was just total devastation. I did read that there was like a 50-mile swath of trees down just west and northwest of Charlotte. There are millions of trees down. Power out for weeks. We had where I live in Matthews, a tree came through the front door.
Wow.
There was so much damage, so much power outages, so many people who were just stopped. But one thing, the amazing thing about all that damage, only 1 death. Now that's unfortunate, but when you think of a massive storm like that, only 1 person died, as bad as it got right here in our area.
Yeah, and we were talking how rare it is to have a storm move this fast.
Without a doubt.
So as a forecaster, when you're seeing this, was it almost picking up speed as it was heading towards the Carolinas?
Well, it was, first of all, is a hurricane to come this far inland. It never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And as we watched that move, it was astounding to see. At some points, it was moving 35 to 45 miles an hour. Once it got up to Hickory, it was still a tropical storm. Then it was moving at about 45 miles an hour. So it was a fast-moving system. The main issue was not the amount of rain; it was the wind damage. Mm-hmm. This was not a rain event. We got maybe 2 inches of rain in the Charlotte area. Unlike Helene, it was all wind damage. So many trees down, so many people without power, as I said, for weeks right here in the Charlotte area.
It's so interesting that going forward from this point on, every year we're going to have this week of where we start the week talking about the anniversary of Hugo, and we'll end the week talking about the anniversary of Helene.
Amazing. The 2 devastating storms that affected the Carolinas, and Hugo obviously was the one storm that Charlotte will remember forever. People who lived here went through it, and then it's something monumental when you think about the impact it had right here in the Queen City.
And coincidentally, both H names.
Without a doubt, yes.
And somehow Larry hasn't aged at 35.
I know, seriously.
Except the hair,
he looks the exact same.
Slightly different hair color.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate this story every year. And most people, when the world is literally collapsed around them, the professionalism is just amazing.
Right. Little did you know that we'd still be playing that.
I know, all these years,
36
years ago. And to think I was only 12 years old.
It's amazing. Oh, I thought you were 8. That's right. Larry, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
So I want to bring you through the path of Hugo. So let's take it one step further. So check it out. On September 15th, it hit a peak intensity as a Category 5 of 160 plus miles per hour. Now, since then, we've doubled the amount of Category 5 storms that we've had, but this one was a big deal. Now, it did re-intensify up to a Category 4 storm, 135 to 140 miles per hour. And here's the big time frame, around midnight. So around midnight, it made landfall, and then check out these winds. Looking at swaths of sustained winds at 100 to 110 miles per hour. As Larry tells me, Charleston was just devastated, absolute devastation. And this storm was moving so fast that Lisa accounts things that happened in Bennettsville. We had widespread tree damage from Charlotte up to Hickory because this came around 5 a.m. with gusts up to 90 miles per hour, gusts up to 80 miles per hour around the Hickory area. 5 hours. It only took 5 hours for this storm to go from around Charleston up to the Charlotte area. Now, driving by car, of course, you can do that faster, but you can control your speed. This is just unheard of as far as forward momentum of any sort of storm. Now, later in the day, as we mentioned, 81 mile per hour winds right around the Hickory area. So this one's forever going to go down in history as one of the worst storms the Carolinas have ever seen. Now, I'm not discounting Helene. Helene was a big-time storm. It was a Category 4, made landfall in Florida, but if we didn't have the rain days before Helene, it would have just been another tropical storm. So sometimes it's what comes beforehand. Hugo was just Hugo on its own just because of what it did for the winds. Now, our tropical development, I do want to mention, there we do have a little bit of a concern. Now, the next H name on the list is Umberto. That's likely going to be this little wave right here. It's starting to gain some intensity. I think over the next 3 to 7 days, we're talking about this with a 70% chance for development. Meanwhile, a little bit closer to home, we have this area of orange. That's a 40% chance for development. So this one likely is going to be Imelda, but notice the cone. It starts to really bubble up right here around the Bahamas, southeast of the Charlotte area. So I'm not calling that, hey, you're for sure going to see this, but looking at our 10-day mid-level energy, now this is a lot here on the map, but I'm going to comb it down for you. This right here is representing what Umberto is potentially going to do, that first wave that was in the red. It's going to follow a very similar path to the storm we just saw, Gabrielle. Meanwhile, we have this secondary wave right here around Florida. That's the middle of next week. So this is something that we want to watch very, very closely. We'll be right back here on WCNC Plus. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Look at all that sunshine. Beautiful. See some fading out contrails right here in Monroe. And all in all, today is going to be a mostly sunny to a partly cloudy day. Picking up more clouds, though, during the afternoon. But welcome to the first day of autumn. Officially calling it the autumnal equinox is the technical name. At 2:19 p.m. this afternoon. Right now, temperatures rock in the 60s, but then we'll see a quick little warm up through the 70s. We go into the lower to the mid 80s for the duration of the afternoon. So I have a high of 87 degrees. That's exactly where we were yesterday. But then check out tomorrow and Wednesday, either side of 90 degrees. So we have a big time warm up. Could be our last challenging of the 90-degree point. Looks like it for our extended forecast overall. But look at those rain chances. Nothing today and tomorrow, but isolated to scattered activity into Thursday. Rain is likely Thursday night heading into Friday. There it is. So get ready for another summer surge and get ready for traffic right now with Majestic. Good morning to you.
Good Monday morning, everyone. Well, look at those drive times. Boy, plan accordingly. People are up and at 'em starting their day. It's going to take you over 50 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia, getting to Charlotte. Just about the same if you're coming in from Salisbury. There's a live camera look at Shirley. It's a beautiful start to our new work week, isn't it? But we also have our typical slowdowns, I-77, I-85, 485 as well, and also a handful of ongoing wrecks. Following this one carefully for you, it's on Pleasant Grove Road at Brookshire Boulevard. We'll have more on everything on WCNC+. We're so glad you joined us for WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Autumn Bracey.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Thanks for streaming with us. Our special coverage of Hurricane Helene 1 year later continues all week long, including this morning right here on WCNC Plus. My colleague Lisa Washington is live in Boone this morning with how folks across the North Carolina mountains are recovering on this one year anniversary.
And Ben, I can tell you that what we've gathered since we've been here in Western North Carolina, it's the story that we've been telling all along. It is the community effort that has really made the recovery here possible. These were neighbors helping neighbors, families helping families after Hurricane Helene just ripped through this area. Just last week, we were telling you that the federal, state, and the local leaders retraced the storm's path. They were highlighting the progress in the recovery, and there has been real progress here. It is clear to see that. At the same time, though, there is still a lot more that has to be done. Those challenges remain for sure. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency toured landmarks, including the Lake Lure Dam. They also toured Morse Park. Again, the progress is visible, but they know that there is a lot of work that needs to be done to help these folks get back to a sense of normalcy.
We had old infrastructure pre-storm, of course, but the damages that were incurred due to the storm have exacerbated all needs for our infrastructure.
We're all working together. We like to call it cooperative federalism to try to help solve problems, and it's clear that there's still a lot of problems here. So we want to do our part to help.
Now, the EPA added that there are a lot of major projects that are happening right now, and it could take a long time before those projects are completed. Lawmakers say the state still needs billions, with the B, billions of dollars to help Western North Carolina recover. Now, a bipartisan group is actually calling on Congress to approve another $13.5 billion in funding. State records show the federal government initially approved or sent just $4.7 billion of the $18.9, nearly $19 billion that was requested. And that's nowhere near what is needed to recover from this storm. Hurricane Helene caused an estimated $60 billion of damages in North Carolina, and Governor Stein is now formally requesting that additional $13.5 billion to help with recovery. That's money that would go toward things like building bridges, repairing bridges, helping homeowners and small business owners, and in fact reimbursing some of the local governments. The governor says it's federal oversight that's the blame for the delays.
All of this is slowing down the reimbursements, which means these local governments do not have cash flow. This is for projects they've already done that were approved, and they're just waiting on the reimbursement, and it's taking way too long.
Again, the governor's word, it is taking way too long. And a reminder for you again that we are going to be here all week in Western North Carolina. Over the coming days this week, you're going to see and hear the stories of the survivors, a check on the progress, because we want you to see what has been done since the devastation here. But we're also going to look at what still needs to be done. And you can catch that streaming right here on WCNC Plus, as well as on WCNC Charlotte. Right now, though, we need to check back in with Chris to find out more about our forecast. Chris, I know that here in the high country, it's typically a bit cooler than it is over in Charlotte, but not too bad, I got to say, for this last remaining hours of summer.
Yeah, Lisa, the fact that you're at 60 degrees right now is substantial. Now, you did have a little bit of fog, a little cloud cover that definitely helped insulate you. But yeah, no, it's usually about 10 degrees cooler than that. Even for the Charlotte area, we average around 61 degrees, pretty much matching that. 65 is the current temperature, but we're about to begin our warm up. Next hourly update is easily going to be about 2 to 4 degrees warmer, depending where you are. And where we've been over the last several mornings, dropped down to 64 officially this morning, 65 on Sunday morning, and then tomorrow around 63. So not really a big change, but we will see some much warmer lows going forward. By the way, welcome to autumn, everyone. Well, technically, it's still technically the summer hours. It's not until 2:19 that we officially can call it the autumnal equinox. 65 degrees right now will quickly warm up to about 68, and then we're talking about the upper 70s to the lower 80s right around noon. And then for a high temperature today, anywhere from 85 to 87 degrees. This is where we were yesterday, by the way. One thing I think that you will see is a change, more clouds during the afternoon, especially late afternoon, where things could be a partly sunny status, but still a decent day. Feeling a little bit sticky though. High temperatures going forward, this is not it. We are actually in the upper 80s for your Tuesday, lower 90s on Wednesday, and Tuesday has a shot at hitting that 90 mark. That does look to be the last run to around 90 degrees. Now, I think it'd still come up to the mid, maybe the upper 80s, but things are really becoming a lot harder to hit that 90 degree point going forward into October. There's only been a handful of times that the last 90 degree day was actually during the month of October. Now, our highest rain chances going forward, not today, not tomorrow, it's Thursday through Friday. And when I say Thursday through Friday, I mean it. I'm talking about first signs of rain Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, Thursday night, into Friday, we could have some widespread rain. So yeah, there's a minor flooding issue here. We haven't really seen a lot of rain, so there could be a lot of quick runoff on some of that hard ground. But it's because of this cold front that's moving in. Now, as of right now, it looks like Thursday night to Friday morning is going to be the wettest period. There's still a lot of question marks exactly how much rain that we're going to see. The exact time can still fluctuate up to about 6 to a 12-hour period. But just in case you don't watch me again, just letting you know that we are definitely looking at a very wet overnight Thursday into Friday, regardless of the changes I think we see over the next few days. And then eventually a high pressure system is going to roll in behind this, and that's going to allow for a brighter weekend, and it should feel a little bit drier as well. We're feeling the most humid really Wednesday through Friday, and that front needs to pass for us to feel a little bit better. That's also going to kick temperatures back down to the lower 80s. So our Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast shows the hottest 3 days over the next next 3. After that, we are anticipating a little bit of a cool down, at least close to where we should be this time of the year. So hopefully traffic is where it should be at this time of the morning, where things usually start to trend up. What's going on?
Good morning, everyone. I-85 here. This is at Graham Street. You can see it's a beautiful start to the day. Lots of cars out on those area roadways. Thankfully, no crashes to report, at least not right here. 65 degrees. Again, lots of sun shining as you're heading out the door. A nice start to our Monday morning. Drive time's not looking the best, but we've definitely seen worse before. It's going to take you about 30 minutes if you're coming in from Belmont. And again, I-77. Want to say good morning to everyone waking up and joining us from South Carolina, York County. You haven't had any significant problems this morning. All of that red again indicating stop and go traffic. We have our typical delays. That's inbound and outbound on I-77, and then mainly inbound lanes on I-85. Not just that, but look at all these icons that are popping up. We got some problems outside. Lots of ongoing wrecks, unfortunately, to report. This one here may slow you down. It's on Sharon Amity Road at Independence Boulevard, inbound lanes. We know how this goes. Independence is always well traveled in the morning time, so not helpful when we have an actual crash that's going to be ongoing. May slow you down about 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not seeing a lane that's blocked at this point, though. And then another crash not too far away from that one. It's on Sharon Amity Road at Windermere Lane. Significant delays not likely. It's going to be pretty minimal. And then this one's just off of Park Road. You can see it right here. It's a crash on Schofield Road at Topping Place. So those are the main things that I'm following for you now. And then finally, this is kind of a newer crash. It's now popping up. It's on Archdale Drive at South Boulevard. We'll have another check on traffic coming up here shortly. Guys.
All right. Thanks, Majestic. See you soon. Coming up, safety on Charlotte's transit system. The new measures being discussed. Well, safety on Charlotte's transit system is back in the spotlight. City Council is weighing whether to give a private police agency expanded powers, a move that comes just weeks after leaders promised new security measures for riders. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning with more on tonight's meeting. Destiny.
Good morning. If Charlotte City Council approves this expansion, then this private police agency would have the power to enforce the law, issue citations, and make arrests, not just on transit property, but areas around it as well. Now, it's the Professional Police Services Company. They're already providing security for cats. It could soon have the power to enforce laws beyond the light rail, buses, and stations. The expanded jurisdiction would cover areas around the city's transit centers, East Trade Street, and the light rail. This comes 1 month after the deadly stabbing of Irina Zarutska on the Blue Line, and just weeks after the mayor and CATS leaders rolled out a series of safety upgrades. Among them, more security on train platforms, stepped up fare enforcement, and additional police patrols at key hubs.
You may not see them, but they are watching over you as a rider, and all riders have the ability to, request help through our app, through 911, and that help is ready and available to respond quickly to provide assistance.
City Council is expected to discuss and vote on this expanded authority at tonight's meeting at 5:30. Live this morning in South End, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, thank you very much, Destiny.
Well, just about 24 hours ago, a deadly stabbing in Uptown. Officials say off-duty officers heard gunshots around 1 a.m. Sunday outside the Brooklyn nightclub and lounge. That's just off North Caldwell Street. When they arrived, they found a man dead, shot there in the street. Detectives say the shooting started a fight between two groups. So far, though, nobody's been arrested. We spoke to neighbors, and they say the violence, it no longer surprises them, but it does still scare them.
Sad to say, it's part of America, things like this happen. And
nothing really shocks at this point in time. Everything is basically what the world is giving us.
CPD asked that if you have any information, you should contact them. Coming up, a closer look at how our mountain communities are recovering from Hurricane Helene 1 year later. .45 right now, streaming on WCNC Plus. And this morning and all week long, we have live coverage of the anniversary of Hurricane Helene. 1 year later, and folks all across western North Carolina are still dealing with the devastation the storm brought. And even in its aftermath, there are a lot of stories of hope, and we're going to be highlighting a lot of those this week. Lisa Washington, live in Boone this morning with one of those stories. Lisa.
And Ben, there are so many of those stories. We, of course, can't bring them all to you, but this one in particular is a really special one. This is a story that got national attention in the days after Hurricane Helene tore through western North Carolina. A dog helped save his young owner after a mudslide buried that boy under 12 feet of rubble. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden has an update on the boy and the dog.
It is hard to imagine anyone making it out of this pile of debris alive. Incredibly, the whole family survived, and tonight, a happy update about their new home.
And I still got Tucker, so I'm fine.
The bond between Jamie and Tucker is as strong as ever.
That's my dog, Tucky.
Why is he so amazing?
Because he saved me. Hello.
Tucker is the family's rescue pup who literally rescued Jamie.
It probably would have died if it wasn't for Tucker.
We first met the Asheville area family last fall when Jamie was in the hospital being treated for his injuries.
It was terrifying.
Jamie's grandparents and his sister Gemma were all home when a mudslide from Hurricane Helene shredded their house, burying Jamie in 12 feet of rubble.
It felt like forever down there. If I couldn't see sunlight or nothing, I just felt water dripping on me. I thought I was either going to drown or run out of air.
But Tucker saved the day, standing over the pile of rubble, telling rescuers exactly where to find Jamie.
You're excited, aren't you?
He's now fully recovered physically, but struggles with memories from the storm.
Loud noises. Specifically because it shakes the house when it's bad.
The family is in a temporary home right now.
You know, we lost everything except the clothes on our back.
Jamie struggles when they drive past their old home.
I close my eyes.
Why?
Scary. And also all my stuff is destroyed, so.
But it's all still there, untouched a year later. They say the Army Corps of Engineers was supposed to do the cleanup, but never came.
We've been trying to get help, but I guess the government has shut down some funding and programs.
They're getting help, though, from so many others. At the time of the storm, they had just 2 payments left on their mortgage. An anonymous donor paid that, and Habitat for Humanity is building them a new home just down the road from the old one.
Well, because we did the interview then, there were some donations that went to Transylvania Habitat for Humanity from those.
It is overwhelming. It is wonderful. We were so busy answering the phone and answering emails and processing donations, and they weren't all huge. Sometimes they would be $5, $10, $20, whatever people could give.
It is almost enough to pay for the new house.
What do you want to say to all the people who have donated so that you guys can get a new house?
They're amazing.
There is still a long way to go to get them into their new home. So if you're interested in donating and being a part of the community that has helped them this far, we've got all the information you need on our website. We'll get you to Habitat for Humanity in this area. Reporting in Transylvania County, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
Thank goodness for Tucker, and thanks also for that community support that's helping that family to move into their new home. My goodness, so many stories of survival and community efforts here in western North Carolina. All right, let's check back in with Chris now to find out more about our forecast. Chris, I know I shared with you that it was a bit foggy earlier this morning here in Boone, but the sun is coming out. I can see peaks of sunshine fighting to make their way through the clouds here this morning, and it's getting warmer, so all good here in western North Carolina, at least as far as the weather is concerned this morning.
Yeah, everyone needs to head up to the mountains because it looks gorgeous up there. It'll be a little bit cooler as well, so break from the heat. However, it's the next 3 days that are definitely going to be the remnants of summer. But we're also really smack dab right in the middle of our tropical season, and I have a new update. The 9 a.m. advisory for Hurricane Gabrielle officially a Category 3 storm. So this is our second major hurricane of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. Sustained winds up to 120 miles per hour. So it is starting to approach to Category 4 strength. And this is significant because this is now our second one of the season. It's typically around September 19th that we have our second appearance. Well, here it is. And I would not be surprised if the following storm, Umberto, who's looking to follow this general path, or it could be Imelda, Imelda, depending if something really changes for the secondary system. I'll show you for a second. That is going to be all a possibility. But check it out. In the near term, we're going to see this get very close to Category 4 strength, holding on to hurricane status well through Wednesday. It's really not until heading into next weekend that we're talking about this thing getting a little bit close to Portugal before it's dying out. This just shows how warm all these water temperatures are. So welcome. Hurricane Gabrielle officially became a hurricane over the weekend, and it just went through its rapid intensification. This is a messy map, but it really tells the tale. For number one, this little wave right here is potentially over the next 3 to 7 days going to turn into Umberto. The only thing that's going to affect that is if somehow this low pressure system is able to outrun it, organize quicker, and then it would be kind of a split difference between Umberto and Imelda. But as of right now, it looks to be Umberto and Imelda that is going to form. What's really interesting about this setup is that oftentimes if you have two systems that are close to one another, they can affect each other. If they're close enough, sometimes they go through what's called the Fujiwara effect, where they can literally rotate counterclockwise around each other. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but this first system right here, as it makes this path, since it is blocking essentially this part of the Atlantic, it's going to enclose this one right here. So I want everyone to really stay up with the tropics over the next 8 to 14 days, because this one could potentially hover right around the Bahamas and southeast of the Carolinas, affecting us really next Tuesday through Thursday. But still, a lot can change. This is just kind of a what if and hearsay, but we are watching it. Welcome to the peak of hurricane season. It is really starting to intensify. Hopefully traffic is the opposite. Let's double check with Majestic.
Good morning, everyone. Let's get to it. I want to give you some updates as you are waking up and maybe getting ready to head out the door. This is I-85 here at Statesville Lab, where traffic seems to still be flowing just fine. Not seeing any big problems there. I wanted to show you my map here because we're definitely seeing a lot of red still inbound on I-77, similar on I-85, but look at all the accidents that are still active right now. I'm going to break down a few of them for you, giving you the latest updates. This one is a newer one. It's a crash on Texland Boulevard at Westinghouse Boulevard. You can see the red here. Again, that's stop and go traffic, northbound lanes. Keep that one in mind, as it is going to be highly impactful for your morning commute. And then another crash right here. It's on Town Boulevard at Kings Parade Boulevard. So again, minor accident there, not seeing a lot of problems ongoing out that direction. But then just east of I-77 at Archdale Drive and South Boulevard, this one has been active for about 30 minutes. You can still see mainly green now. Earlier, just about 20 minutes ago, we had a lot of orange popping up by that. So you can see improvements are on the way. This is just east of I-77. And then this here, it's a crash on Sharon Amity Road at Windermere Lane. That's the latest as we're looking at our traffic update, but for now, let's send it over to Larry.
Hi, this is Larry Sprinkle. Time for Carolina Trivia, and today's trivia is a product that started in North Carolina, invented by Caleb Bradham. He was a pharmacist in New Bern, North Carolina. What is that product? It is Pepsi Cola, New Bern, North Carolina. The original name, by the way, was Brad's Drink, but changed to Pepsi back in 1898. Here's some of the Pepsi bottles that go back in time, back to the late 1890s and early 1900s. So once again, today's trivia, by the way, look at all the different logos, Brad's Drink all the way to the current logo. Pepsi, invented right here in North Carolina. That's today's Carolina Trivia. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
All right, 8:54 right now. Live pictures over uptown, shaping up to be a nice day. Another check of your forecast and your Monday morning commute. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good day, everybody. We say goodbye to the last hours of summer, officially at 2:19. We can call it fall, but it doesn't feel like it. It's still going to be sticky over the next few days, and it's even going to be very muggy by the end of the week as everything is really going to be escalating. So once you get to about Wednesday to Friday, we are feeling it. But that's also going to lead to our next widespread rain chance. The hottest day, 91 degrees on Wednesday. Should see a downfall to 80 degrees on Friday. Best chance for rain Thursday night, heading to Friday here on our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. Majestic, what's going on?
Let's get a live look. This is I-85 here at Graham Street, where traffic is still flowing just fine. 69 degrees as you're heading out the door. Plenty of sunshine, off to a nice start for our Monday morning commute. I-77, you can see South Carolina, York County. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Those drive times are definitely picking up, though, about 50 minutes if you're coming in from Salisbury, so plan accordingly. We have multiple wrecks this morning, so make sure you're taking it nice and easy. This wreck here is on Westinghouse Boulevard. Allow for a few extra minutes to get to where you need to be.